What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Sean from STW Auto. All right, so I just want to show you guys today, the shop. We just opened up in January. January 9th was the day that we moved in here. And it was just something that just came out of nowhere, January 1st, the new year, 2025, you would have asked me, like, hey, what are you doing this year? I would not have said open up a shop. It was just not on my mind. But it just transpired from, impulse, impulsiveness, rash decisions, but sometimes you gotta take a risk to get to where you want to get. So this is what we did. It's what I did. I found a guy on Craigslist that had the spot. He wanted a deposit. We put that down, talked him into giving us like a two-month buffer so we could set up the shop and everything before we started paying rent. So that was good. That really helped out, in us moving in and getting money to getting the business going and start making money, getting that cash flow so that we could operate smoothly. So come inside. Now it's a little cluttered, it's a mess right now. Today's actually Memorial Day, we're off today, but I decided to stop by here and show you guys a video. So it's a good day to do it. We don't got nothing going on, we don't got to worry about customers and this and that. We can just focus on you guys. So this is it. When we first moved in here, only thing that was in here, we got planes flying by us all the time. There's an airport right there, a little private airport for the rich folks. It's called Page Field, and we see these jets and propeller planes flying all the time, and it's cool. So anyway, when we first moved in here, all that was in here was that blue lift right there and that desk right there. It's a little cluttered right now, but we're working on, we're still working on building. We've only been here for 4.5 months, and we're thriving good. Everything, money's coming in and everything. Everybody's getting paid. Everybody's making money. But yeah, we're still working on the building. Like when we're not busy working on cars and stuff. Working on ways to expand and make the place look nicer and everything. Trying to bring in more stuff, equipment, reinvesting into the place. So let me show you how the office. This is where all the magic happens at. Some of the magic. We got this little setup here. We started off with this laptop right here. Got it from Walmart. We got our programs and everything to check in customers, to look up service repair manuals and everything. So this is where it all started at. This laptop right here. We got a second laptop set up. The cameras was one of the first things that we put up in this building when we moved in. That's one of the first priorities that I felt like we had to put up, because you never know. You bring your car here, we want you to be protected. We don't want, something to happen to your vehicle while it's here. So, we got security over here. So yeah, this is the office. Don't mind it right now. Eventually, soon, we're gonna put up some walls. We're gonna put up a wall. We're gonna get the little lounge area. It's a little cluttered right now. We're in the middle of moving stuff around. So, we got a futon here. We got a big screen, 70-inch Sony Bravia TV, 75-inch actually. No joke. They come here, wait for your car. You could chill out. Watch something on the big screen. We got DirecTV. I wasn't really planning on getting DirecTV, but we got Comcast, Xfinity, and they came down, started talking about a deal where you pay $4 a month or whatever for DirecTV. So we got it, and you don't get that many channels. I know we get the History Channel. That's about it. ABC, Fox, none of that works. So I don't know. I gotta get on the phone with them and see what's up with that. So yeah, eventually, we're gonna put a wall right here. Go around. So as soon as you walk into the building, you're inside a nice air-conditioned office. We're gonna have lights up and everything. 8-foot tall ceilings. That's gonna be a challenge right there, building around that. But it's doable. We're gonna do it. Right here, we got the air tank, the air compressor. It's one of the biggest things you need, in a repair shop. A lot of people go, electric and battery, but sometimes, you just need air, to fill up tires, to a blowgun, some pneumatic tools are just a little bit stronger, a little bit nicer in my opinion. So it's, we got the tank. One of our techs, Mike, he actually got this tank, and it was just the tank itself, the motor was shot, the pulley was missing the belt, everything. This little thing right here the switch, that was bad. The valve on the bottom was bad. So, you know, he pretty much, you know, got this tank and said that he could make it brand new again. So that's what he did. You know, he got a new switch, new motor, pulley, belt, and made it work. So we got air. So now what we're gonna do with that air tank that's tucked back there, we're gonna set it up over in the corner. Now I'm thinking we put it over there. There's a 220 amp, whatever it's called, outlet, one of these. I think it's 220. I don't really know my house electrical stuff, but whatever that is. Got it right there. So we're gonna put the tank over there, set it up. Put some hoses right there, you know, like a hose reel right there, you know, so you could just, you know, pull your hose down so it's not on the ground all cluttered up and everything. So this lift right here, I actually put this up. We put this up. It didn't come with the building. I found it on Craigslist. On Craigslist, it was $2,000 the guy wanted. It was taken down. It was from a tire discount, whatever, the Firestone place. So it came from there. The guy brought it to his house, and he had it laying out in his backyard in pieces. So, you know, he wanted $2,000 for that. Me and JR, we went over there to go check it out, and it looked good and everything. You know, it had the inspection sticker on it, and, you know, I asked him, you know, where it came from and everything. He said it came from Tire Discount. So his brother is a shop foreman over there, and they had to get rid of one of their lifts so they can install one of those, like, little machines in the ground that when you drive over it, it can read your tires, your license plate, your VIN, all that good stuff, the alignment and all that. So that's where it came from. You know, I went over there, I looked at the other lifts that were the exact same and put up and everything. So it's a rotary lift, you know, one of the most popular lifts. A lift that I'm familiar with, comfortable with, that I love. You know, it's a good lift and everything. I love how the legs, you know, the pegs, you know, just flip up and down and stuff like that. So we got the good one, you know. This lift is about, I don't know, 8,000 brand new, installation 10, I don't know. I never bought a brand new lift before, so I couldn't tell you. I could tell you is he wanted $2,000 for it. We offered him $800, and he was cool with that. And on top of that, he even delivered it to the shop. He had a van. I actually got a video of it. I'm gonna play it for you. But he had this little Chevy Express van or whatever. And basically, you know, between me, JR, him, and his son, you know, we picked up all the pieces, threw it in the back of the van. You know, he had the doors open still, wouldn't fit inside. He had a bunch of bungee cords holding it and everything. And yeah, we followed him all the way here. And yeah, we got delivered and everything too for $800. So now we had a bunch of lift pieces, you know, just laying on the ground at the side of the shop over there. And it was a faded color. I might have a picture or video, you know, if I do, I'm gonna show you. But basically, yeah, we painted it red. You know, we painted it brand new. You know, we got to paint the legs still. You know, it's yellow, it's faded yellow, but, you know, we're going to paint it nice and have it looking nice and everything. Now, that's one of the goals here. You know, we got to make everything look good. You know, we're professional. We want to look the part. We got to look the part. You know, you see this raggedy shop, you're going to expect some raggedy business over here, but that's not what we're doing. So, $800, got the lift, got it delivered. Had to get it wired up and everything. So, JR, his dad knew this electrician. He was real cool. He came down, put it up for us and everything, charged us $1,000. But not only to put that up, but to put an outlet right there. You know, he hooked it up to the electric box and everything. So, spent about $1,000. Yeah, spent about $1,000 and on the electricals. So I made $1,800 in now. Oh, hold on, actually one of my rentals just got dropped off. Yo, what's going on, man?
I know you're recording, man.
Oh yeah, no, I'm vlogging right now, man.
Okay.
What's going on? It was good and everything?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool, man.
All
right, yo, let me, like 2 weeks, right? You need it again?
No, not.
Was it another one?
Yeah, it was going to be the 4th.
Oh, the 4th of June.
Yeah.
I got you.
July.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got you. So that's like a month.
Weekend.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right, bro. Let me know, man.
Yes, sir.
So I got some rental cars too. So one of my rental cars just got dropped off. It's a Chevy Tahoe. It's nice, but I'll get into that later. So $1,800 we're into this lift, plus paint and everything. So you could call it $1,900 we're into the lift, right? Filled it up with fluid and everything. Went up with it, went down with it, went up with it, went down with it. It got stuck in the up position. So, I had a little issue there. I'm over here stressing out, thinking the lift is bad and everything. But all it really was the outlet right there. The electrician had screwed the outlet onto the lift, and the screw was just poking out the back, so it was blocking the block. It was blocking the block of the lift block from going down. And yeah, we got that out, broke it off and everything, cleaned out the insides, looped it up and everything. Now it's going up and down nice and smoothly. So $1,800, $1,900, about I'd say. Yeah, $1,900. Got a lift here, making us money and everything. So that's the lift. It's a little 3-bay shop. We got 2 lifts, one flat bay, and got this wall over here. Now this wall, was here when we first moved in. There's another unit over there. They got 3 bays, 2 lifts, and they're moving out. They're moving out in about a week from now, so, struck up a deal with the landlord. We're going to take that side, we're going to expand. So, we're going to have 6 bays, 4 lifts, and, see what we do with that. And you guys, hopefully you guys follow along for the adventure and everything. It's exciting. Business is booming. We're doing 30, 40,000 a month. Only been open for 4.5 months. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. So, got the regular, shop stuff that we need. Got a press right there. It's not the best, but, when we need a better one, we'll just go and get it. That's kind of what we're doing right now. We're reinvesting into the business, but getting stuff as we need it, as we go along. So we're not just, dropping a whole bunch of money on stuff and having stuff that we're not going to use for weeks and months, when that money could be used towards other things, like marketing or, parts or supplies that we actually need, or paying the employees and everything. That's the most important thing to me, is my people getting paid. Everybody that's working, any type of work that you see done around here, is getting paid for. So, that's my main thing. I want people to make their money. This is a work in progress. We got a good team right now. It's about 5 of us. Over here, we got our shop sink. Wash your hands and everything. Got a little paper towel dispensary machine, courtesy of Synthes. Well, not courtesy, we're paying for it, but Synthes put it up. So yeah, we got soap dispenser and everything. That's how cheap I am. I'll pour some soap in here, then I fill it up with water. We use this. Got to cut the dawn. This soap, make it last. Over here, we got our part sink. We got a whole bunch of stuff on top. I'm not going to open it up, but it's nasty in there. There's degreaser in there. It's a part sink. If you got wash parts, clean it off. Front cover or any type of component that we're putting back into a car that needs to be clean. Right in here, right here we got our little detail setup right here. We're gonna organize a little bit better, as we go along. Maybe get like a nice shelf and cabinet type thing. Make it look all nice. Got our products. We got our pressure washer over there. We got a leaf blower. We got air, like I said. We got a whole setup, we got a steamer. That thing is amazing. I love that thing. We got a soap blower attachment thing that goes onto the pressure washer too. So, what we do is, everybody that, spends a lot of money on their car, the car should be, taken care of. You don't just go to a place, spend all this money, you spend money like that, I gotta show my appreciation for you. So, we wash every car that, comes in, they spend, a few hundred or more, thousands especially, we take care of them, we clean their cars. So when they come and pick up their car, it's nice and shiny, it's running good, it looks good, they feel good, they're happy, I'm happy. So that's the main thing right there, keep you being happy makes me happy. That's about it. We got some drain buckets. We got those for free actually. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff around here. We're just getting as we go, and we're constantly upgrading our inventory. Our shop tools, everything like that. Right here, I got my handy dandy ride. Bought it for $10 off of our scrap guy. So, I could ride around the neighborhood. There's a bunch of businesses and shops around the, around the corner. So, we do business with them. We fix their cars. They, whatever we need from them. If they're in that business. So we all work together in the neighborhood. But rather than walking or driving, I just hop on my bike, boom, scoot right over there, and yeah, that's what we do. Over there we got the belly. We call it the belly. Big cabinet. Put all our, all our good stuff in there. Here, I'll show you. You want to see it? We'll show you. All sorts of, chemicals, everything like that. Battery charger and stuff. Got a couple filters. So yeah. We got a couple things in there. Over here we got our vise. This thing is ancient, but it works good. Good metal right here. Good steel. We're working on the lighting right now. Once we get that side, we're gonna have better lighting over there, and then then we could start using those circuits over there and figuring out if they're live or not, putting more bulbs in there. But that's gonna come in time. Oh, let me show you the water machine. So it's Florida, it's hot, and we're drinking water all day long. We're spending like $20-30 on water a day, on cases of water. And yeah, so a buddy of mine, he's seen this truck. I'll give him a shout out. Culligan, Mass Family, Culligan, a water company. So, a buddy of mine, he sent me a picture of their truck. Said, hey, hit them up, see what's up. So I did, and they had a bunch of different options. I was thinking having the 5-gallon thing on top. I'm old school, but they told me this was like a better route. It's got, this whole thing is a filter. It just pulls water and filters it. They got 2 different options: reverse osmosis, and I forgot what the other one's called. Keep the minerals in. So we got that one to keep the minerals in. Apparently, minerals in water give you energy. I don't know. We sweat so much in here that we don't even use the bathroom. We just drink water; it just comes right out our pores. I don't remember the last time I took a piss. Yeah. So that Colgan water, nice and ice cold, $32 a month. $32 a month, 2-year commitment. Not bad. Good deal in my eyes. That's what we want. We want good deals. That's all we want. So, hopefully next week on the 1st by noon, that side will be ready. Then we can start taking down that made-up wall and really expand and figure out how we're going to do everything. There is an office on that side too. So once we get into the office, we're going to paint it, make it look nice, clean it up. Then we're going to start moving stuff in. We're going to keep this as like a customer welcome station. So, when they walk in, they're right there, check them in and everything. Then, yeah, that's how we're going to do it. We got our shelf right here, which is kind of acting like our little wall. So that's just, what we got right now. But, we're going to clean all this stuff up. We got extension cords and all that. Yeah, that's about it. That's about it. We're getting a new garage door over there too. So we're gonna see, how that is when it comes. And maybe cut it a little bigger. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for coming to STW Auto. And if you guys ever need anything, call me up, 239-789-6256. If you're from Lehigh to Bonita, Estero, Naples, we're right in Fort Myers. You need your car service, pull up, I got you. Me and our techs, we're certified in, GM cars. We're master ASC certified to service any vehicle. So if you want your car in good hands, bring it to us. That's what that's our most important thing, getting good reviews, satisfied customers, and a nice working vehicle when you leave. So thank you for watching, everybody. Peace.